Welcome, dear viewers. Today, we begin the unforgettable journey of Genghis Khan, a name that still shakes the pages of history. Some remember him as a ruthless destroyer, others see him as a brilliant leader. But beyond fear and admiration lies the story of a man who started with nothing and built one of the largest empires the world has ever seen. In this documentary, we will explore the life of Genghis Khan, divided into 5 powerful chapters. Chapter 1 will uncover his difficult childhood and the struggles of young Temujin. Chapter 2 will show how he rose as a leader, uniting the Mongol tribes. Chapter 3 will reveal the creation of his empire and his unstoppable conquests. Chapter 4 will dive into his laws, governance, and vision beyond war. Chapter 5 will bring us to his final days, and the lasting legacy he left behind. Each chapter will take you deeper into the life of Genghis Khan, and at the end of every chapter, we will prepare to move into the next stage of his extraordinary story. So sit back, listen closely, and let's step into the world of a man who rose from the cold steppes of Mongolia to become one of history's greatest conquerors. This is the story of Genghis Khan. Chapter 1: The Early Struggles of Temujin. Long before he became known as Genghis Khan, he was just a boy named Temujin. Born around 1162 on the harsh and unforgiving Mongolian steppes, Temujin's childhood was filled with pain, hunger, and fear. His father, a tribal leader, was poisoned when Temujin was still very young. With his father gone, the family's position collapsed overnight. The tribe abandoned them, leaving his mother and siblings to survive alone in the wild. The steppes were merciless: freezing winters, scarce food, and constant threats from rival groups. Temujin and his family often survived on wild roots, small animals, and whatever they could gather. But within this struggle, something powerful was being shaped: resilience. While most children dreamed of comfort, Temujin dreamed of survival, unity, and strength. Even as a boy, Temujin showed leadership. He learned to trust only those who were loyal, and he understood the pain of betrayal when so-called allies turned against him. These early hardships taught him the value of loyalty, discipline, and the strength of family. What could have broken him instead made him unbreakable. Temujin's childhood was not the story of a privileged prince, it was the story of a boy forged in fire, molded by hunger, and hardened by betrayal. And these struggles became the foundation of a man who would one day rule the largest empire the world had ever seen. With this beginning, we now move into Chapter 2, where Temujin starts to rise as a leader and brings together the scattered Mongol tribes. Chapter 2: The Rise of a Leader. As Temujin grew older, the boy who once struggled for survival began to transform into a leader with vision. He had witnessed betrayal, hunger, and fear, and these experiences shaped his determination to change the fate of the Mongol tribes. The Mongols, scattered and divided, constantly fought each other. Temujin realized that as long as they remained divided, they would remain weak. To survive, unity was not just important, it was necessary. He began to gather followers, not through promises of wealth or titles, but through loyalty and fairness. Unlike the traditional chiefs who gave power to friends and relatives, Temujin promoted people based on merit. A soldier who proved his courage could rise higher than a noble. This idea was revolutionary, and it won him the trust of many warriors who had long been ignored by their leaders. But leadership was never easy. Temujin faced betrayal from his own blood brother and once close ally, Jamukha, who turned against him and challenged his vision. This betrayal tested Temujin's strength, but it also pushed him to fight harder. Through battles, strategy, and sheer determination, Temujin began to win victories that made other tribes take notice. From a struggling boy, Temujin was now becoming a force, a leader who demanded loyalty, offered justice, and inspired fear in his enemies. The Mongols were beginning to unite under one banner, and for the first time, the dream of a powerful nation was within reach. With this transformation, we now move into Chapter 3, where Temujin rises to become Genghis Khan and begins building the foundations of his unstoppable empire. Chapter 3: Building the Mongol Empire. By the year 1206, Temujin had achieved what no Mongol leader before him could. He united the scattered tribes of the steppes under his rule, and with this victory, he was given the title Genghis Khan, meaning universal ruler. This was more than just a name, it was the birth of a legend. Genghis Khan now commanded a united Mongol nation, and with unity came unstoppable power. His armies were unlike anything the world had seen. Mongol horsemen could ride for days without rest, carrying dried meat and milk to survive. They moved with speed, discipline, and precision, striking terror into enemies who thought themselves safe. His strategies were both brilliant and brutal. He used deception in battles, spreading fear long before his soldiers arrived. He valued intelligence networks and communication, using horse-mounted messengers to keep control across vast distances. One by one, powerful kingdoms fell. Northern China, once thought impossible to conquer, came under his rule. Then Central Asia, including the mighty Khwarezm Empire, collapsed before his relentless armies. His enemies feared him not only for his strength but also for the sheer unpredictability of his attacks. But Genghis Khan's empire was not built on fear alone. He rewarded loyalty, punished betrayal, and created a sense of order where chaos once ruled. For his followers, he was not just a conqueror, he was a protector and a lawgiver. From the endless steppes, Genghis Khan had begun to shape an empire that stretched across continents. And yet, his vision went beyond conquest. Now, we move into Chapter 4, where we uncover Genghis Khan's laws, governance, and the system that held his vast empire together. Chapter 4: Governance and Laws. While many remember Genghis Khan only for his conquests, his true genius was not just on the battlefield, it was in the way he ruled. Behind the image of a ruthless warrior stood a leader who understood that an empire built only on fear could never last. To hold his vast territories together, he created a system of governance and law that was far ahead of its time. At the heart of his rule was the Yasa, a code of laws that applied to everyone, no matter their rank. It punished betrayal, theft, and corruption, but it also protected the weak, ensured fair distribution of spoils, and demanded loyalty. In a world where nobles usually had unchecked power, Genghis Khan's laws made justice more equal. Religious tolerance was another surprising part of his leadership. He allowed Buddhists, Muslims, Christians, and others to live and practice freely within his empire. Instead of forcing one belief, he encouraged harmony, which helped him win the loyalty of conquered people. He also built an advanced communication system, the Yam, a network of stations with fresh horses that allowed messengers to travel thousands of miles quickly. This was the backbone of his empire, enabling him to control land stretching from China to Europe. Through order, discipline, and a sense of fairness, Genghis Khan turned the image of a chaotic horde into an organized empire. His governance showed that he was more than a destroyer, he was a builder of systems that would influence the world for centuries. And now, we move into Chapter 5, where we explore the final days of Genghis Khan and the powerful legacy he left behind. Chapter 5, Death and Legacy. By the 1220s, the name Genghis Khan had already become legendary. He had built an empire stretching across Asia, and his armies were feared from China to Europe. Yet, even the strongest rulers cannot escape the fate of mortality. In 1227, during a campaign against the Western Xia dynasty in China, Genghis Khan fell ill, some say from injuries in battle, others claim from an accident while hunting. His exact cause of death remains a mystery, guarded in secrecy. His burial place was hidden, never revealed, ensuring that even in death, he remained untouchable. But while his body disappeared into the earth, his legacy spread across the world. After his death, his empire continued to expand under his sons and grandsons, eventually becoming the largest contiguous land empire in history. The Mongols reshaped trade by securing the Silk Road, connecting east and west in ways never seen before. They spread ideas, technology, and culture across continents. Yet, his legacy is also marked by destruction. Entire cities were reduced to ashes, millions perished in his campaigns, and his name became a symbol of terror. To some, he was a brutal conqueror, to others, a unifying visionary. Perhaps the truth lies somewhere in between. What cannot be denied is this: a boy who once struggled to survive in the cold steppes rose to change the destiny of the world. His story remains one of resilience, ambition, and the power of vision. And so, we conclude our journey through the life of Genghis Khan, a man born in struggle, forged by battle, and remembered forever in history. And so, dear viewers, our journey through the life of Genghis Khan comes to an end. From a boy who fought for survival on the cold steppes, to a ruler whose name echoed across continents, his story reminds us that even the harshest beginnings can shape the strongest leaders. If this story touched your heart and gave you a new perspective on history, I invite you to support this channel. Please subscribe, so you never miss another powerful journey. Don't forget to like this video if it inspired you, and share it with friends who, like you, love to explore the lessons hidden in history. Every click, every share, helps us bring more stories to life, stories that educate, inspire, and stay with you. Thank you for joining me today. Until next time, goodbye, and take care.